There. No, it's no longer a pantomime. Okay. Welcome to our Scorpio pre-full moon webinar. I hope you were able to, some of you at least, to take in the Sacred Pentagram webinar, which Tuya just gave. She gave out some excellent information about Scorpio, and I'll maybe add just a little bit, not much, because it was so well done, and maybe you'll have a chance to go to Makara and to tune in on that one. Tomorrow at, let's see now, I just want to, there it is, at 13:34 GMT, or 1:34 p.m. and 17 seconds, we have the full moon, exact full moon in Scorpio, but we begin this at 12 noon GMT, and please just use your normal YouTube link. By now you've used that so much that you should be able to do that, and maybe, I don't know if maybe someone's here with us. If BL or Joe or Michael, whomever, if you would be so kind as to put in the YouTube link for those who may not have it, I would really appreciate that. I also want to say that, as you know, and as it says here in the chat box, that you can find Francis Donald's evocative images and text for Scorpio at the following, okay? And there's your link, so you should all see that, and just copy that out, and I'll say maybe a few things, but not go into the kind of really interesting detail that Francis does. We've had these images now, gosh, some of them for almost 9 years, 8 or 9 years, and they continue to keep their illuminative value. So yeah, well, I just want to welcome you all. It's very good that, this is such an important sign. It is, as Tuya was saying, humanity's very own sign. And we can say that the human race was individualized largely under Gemini and Cancer and Leo, those three signs together. But when you're looking for where the human monads really are operating, they're operating on the plane of Scorpio. And that plane is this one. You're probably familiar with the idea, but here it is, the Buddhic plane. And the human hierarchy called the initiates or lords of sacrifice are found there. And the solar angels have also descended to that very low depth, even though, well, it's not low, it's still, for us, it's quite high. But the solar angels have already been to the cosmic astral plane. They were human beings in the last major solar system. So they've been to the cosmic astral plane, and they've fallen from the cosmic astral plane out of an act of service, not like Paradise Lost, as if the fall was their fault and they offended God and all the rest. None of that is really true. They've fallen onto the cosmic physical plane in the cosmic etheric aspect, and then here on the Buddhic plane, they're still in the cosmic etheric, and then they've carried their energy down into the dense physical body of the solar logos and planetary logos. So what an act of service, but let's just say that, this idea of the descent and the law of sacrifice, so strong, a soul law, has a lot to do with Scorpio. You give up something lesser, let's say, even though it seems very great, for something still greater. So they are still learning as they go, and the I don't know what I can call it, the domestication, the heavenly domestication of the human being is their project, and it's something like a 25 million year project. The other day I was talking about the duration of various cycles, and soul cycles, or, well, any kind of cycle. 1 year, and, all the ones, tens, hundreds for first ray, all the sevens for the seventh ray, and there's a 500-year, 550, 500 for the second ray, and 990, 900, and on for the third ray. But when it comes to the fourth ray, we're not quite certain. As I said, the rayologist and esoteric astrologer Stephen Pugh has done a good idea on that. He has suggested 2.5, and that makes a lot of sense when we are thinking about Scorpio and the Buddhic plane and where the human hierarchy really works. That 2,500-year cycle, or 250-year cycle, or half of a 500-year cycle. I've got to say that the science of cycles is going to be a wonderful study for us, and one day we will achieve all knowledge, at least with respect to our planetary scheme, and that will make of us a master, and we'll be on the third level of the atmic plane, and we'll be within the triadal lives, and then we'll really know how these cycles work. Right now, we kind of get, what can I call it, crumbs from the table of the gods, We get a few little crumbs here and there, and we can piece them together and maybe make valid inferences. But there's something about this number 25, 250, 2,500, etc., that is really vitally important. 25,000, it's a huge equinoctial cycle called the Platonic year. And when the numbers are in our possession, we will be really of use, because then we'll learn how to apply our energies in the correct way. And in line with the divine plan. Let's see. So anyway, like I say, we begin tomorrow in the afternoon, 12 noon GMT, and then the actual time is about an hour and a half later. So if you can join us, that'd be great. Unless, of course, you have your own full moon activities that you do, and that's okay. Of course, that's fine. Now let's see. Here it is. Okay. All right. Now, next, I just want to find the sort of somewhere here should be Mr. Jafra, and here it is, the astrological banner. Well, as I say to you, this is a good job on this, but the idea behind it all is the double Mars and then Mercury. And Mars and Mercury, when you study theosophy, they make quite a bit about the sequence of Mars, Earth, and Mercury. Now, maybe very few of us are in the position where we can use the full extent of Mercury as it relates to Scorpio. This would mean that we really had tapped into pure reason and into the intuition. I'm not sure that we've done that completely, but we can certainly use Mercury as the mind to control the emotions and to enter the sun of mind, which is the soul perspective, and then reach via the Antakarana to a still higher point of view, and that would be the hierarchical ruler, and it's right there on the place where the monads, human monads, are doing the majority of their work, at least as monads, that the Hydra wilts and dies, because we have so much perspective on it that we're able to see where is the illusion. You know, it all begins in Scorpio with let Maya flourish and deception rule. It's a very illusion-producing, deceiving kind of sign. But in the end of it all, on the Buddhi plane, there is this light of day. So all you Scorpios or Scorpio rising, whatever, moon in Scorpio, there's hope for you. There's hope. There's some people, you know, sort of darken their eyes and say, I'm a Scorpio, but, you know, it is a sign of real ascension in a certain sense, up to the cosmic ethers of the cosmic physical plane. You know what I mean by those cosmic ethers. These they are, these higher four, the cosmic ethers of the cosmic physical plane, and then the lower three are the dense physical body of the solar logos. And it's still up in the air, I would say. You know, the higher aspects of the mental plane, the first, second, and third subplanes are transitional, and they lead from density into a type of form which many people call formless. Anyway, our work eventually under Mercury is to get into that triadal level. Now, I just want to say that, you know, I don't know how many of you were there for Tuya's presentation, but it was, she had said so many good things, you know. I just want to say that we do defeat the Hydra. There's a lower dragon and a higher. And the lower dragon, of course, is our personality, and St. George has to deal with that, as he is doing right here. But the higher dragon is a master, a dragon of wisdom, a lesser dragon of wisdom, and the very highest dragon of which we know anything is let's see, the very highest dragon is Draco, the great constellation which represents cosmic Kundalini, or at least the Kundalini in the one about whom naught may be said, and is so connected with the earth. So Scorpio is one of those signs that really connects with the first-ray nature of earth. The ruler Pluto of Scorpio will be found powerful at the base of the spine of human beings, and earth is considered to be the base of the spine center in the solar system. And eventually, we're just, you know, going to rise into the heights and fly like the eagle flies and become initiate. This is what is being demonstrated here. The eagle is flying. The eagle has landed. It's amazing how the eagle, sort of the king of birds, you might say, figures into so much symbolism. I've seen amazing things about eagles, you know, and they just, what a first-rate bird that really is. You know, and we learn alchemy here, and some of these images are a lot like alchemy, and we learn the difference between new life and death, and we learn about reincarnation. We learn about the relationship of the outer world to the inner world as this little baby with the skull, and we learn the difference between poison and elixir. For some people, even an elixir is a poison, but we learn how to distill the elixir of life within the brain. And we simply overcome our negativity through the serpent power. It's a wonderful image, but I think to get an even fuller description of this, you might want to go to Makara, where the sacred pentagram program that Tuya just did will be up before long. And I think she went into great detail, which I'm not going to go into so much. But Joffre had a certain genius, didn't he, really? I mean, marvelous how I wonder what his signs were. I'll have to look it up. But he certainly got the idea of yoga and transformation, and let's just say life leading to death, or is it death leading to life? The whole life and death transformation is beautifully outpictured here. So I won't say, too much more about that. I think that's sufficient. And remember that when you're in a particular month, the astrological month, you can build into your causal body, particularly the energies you will need to make a full-blown causal body. This is going to be one of the themes of the New World religion. Just find, warrior I am, or am I, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. Just work at that mantra, and what you must overcome, do that, and build into your causal body those qualities which are needed. And month after month, year after year, the causal body will be filled out, and you'll come to the point where in the great conflict between Leo and Scorpio, we can sacrifice the Leo and the causal body is destroyed, and Scorpio will see us ascending onto the cosmic etheric plane, the Buddhic plane. It's supposed to take us there where our illusions die, okay? Our illusions, our glamours, maybe our mayas, they all die. Scorpio is powerful at the first three initiations in the warrior way, and then at the fourth initiation, it brings death to our limitations. Now let's see. Right. Well, Francis has a wonderful image here. This is the man ascending, and he's leaving behind his old form. I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to describe all of what he has said here, but let's just say the theme of ascent is very great in this sign. The phoenix bird flies. The Bennu bird, it flies. And you can even see the wings here, the winged heart. Now, it's almost like we can't really ascend until our heart has wings. And you'll recognize this as a much seen symbol. So there is a rising on the cross. Notice the cross behind him. Through the power of sacrifice, into the possibility of joining the cardinal cross. We have to kind of carry our own cross, in the fourth initiation, and this seems to signal what the fourth initiation can be like. You are crucified, you have to carry your own cross, but you do ascend. The true ascension, interestingly though, is to the monadic plane, and it is the sixth initiation, okay? But this is an ascension of a kind because it rises out of the dense physical body of the planetary logos into the cosmic etheric body of both the planetary logos and the solar logos. So Scorpio, although it seems to be, the sign of vice, a vice catches you and you can't be loose. Once you are, you understand the secret of illusion, the secret of the vice, you can be free to ascend into the area of Shambhala. There are 4 gates to Shambhala, and although, the highest council is up there on the first plane and all that, once we get into the cosmic ethers, we are really entering the realm of Shambhala via the Antakarana, or at least will be part of the hierarchy, which is the ashram of Sanat Kumara. So that's a powerful symbol, and let's see if there's anything else here that Sometimes I get myself a little bit lost here. Oh, there he is again. And the old form is left behind, and the ascent is really taking place. Now, there's another image, and let's see if I can find that image. And let's see if I can Scorpio text, Jofra, and maybe that one. And here we are, the Phoenix. We are the Phoenix. And as Tuya is fond of pointing out, at that point, we become more than simply an elemental in the larger sense. We become a deva in the larger sense, and we're on our way to uniting with the Deva kingdom. I would recommend musically to go to Stravinsky and his Firebird suite. Obviously, the Phoenix is the Firebird, and it is, you can see the man within here, somehow. You can see the transformed human being getting its wings, so to speak, and able to do those kinds of things that the Devas can do. There is a harmonious meeting of the human and Deva on the Buddhic plane, which we're talking about here, in the light of day, where we have the true intuition, and then later a merging of the two kingdoms on the monadic plane. So every one of us is, I would say, potentially a phoenix, and we have to go through the fiery process in order to really ascend to that realm in the cosmic ethers where more is possible for us than heretofore. I mean, when you think about the first three initiations, we're passing a lot of burning grounds, and it's painful, and we are learning how to get rid of the dross before we can enter vibratorily through the next gate or through the next door. But there's a lot of, even though it seems, from the point of view of the personality, a cataclysmic kind of initiation, the fourth, it is filled with that kind of joy and even the hint of bliss that the monad can give. And we rise into a place which is truly a principle of the planetary logos and not just the unprincipled substance of the lower three planes. We have our own seven principles, and the great gods have their principles too. And when we start rising into their principles, our life is entirely transformed. So I'm just recommending, if you haven't done it, and maybe do it periodically, go to this address here, this link, and I think it's on the Moria Federation site, I believe so, and just read what Francis has to say about it, because he approaches it in many, many ways that I don't really have time or expertise to approach at this time. So it's really worth it. And then maybe you can copy it over and put it into your storage on your computer. Okay. All right, friends, so let's get into it. It's all very compressed, I mean, the Scorpio full moon is coming up right away, and in our broadcast is going to begin in 1 hour, excuse me, not 1 hour, but 13 hours and about 30 minutes from now. And then we'll get into that sense of being the spiritual warrior, and we'll learn the techniques of overcoming the negativity to which we have seemed attached, and which can be jettisoned, can be thrown away once we understand the true nature of illusion and the true nature of glamour. And we'll learn how to dispel and dissipate and disperse. All those D's, we'll learn how to do that. We'll learn how to decentralize also, and we'll enter a higher world. That is the objective here, even though you have to go through a lot of pain as the personality understands pain in order to do that. All right. I've got so many things up here, but it's coming along, and let's see if I... I did actually have a meditation here. What do you know? So I'm going to have to... there we go. I was thinking, well, we'll do this meditation off the top of my head. But here it is. And those of you who are still awake and are going to be remaining awake until we have our broadcast and so forth, really, really use the warrior, really see what it is that you have to become as a spiritual warrior in order to emerge from whatever battle that it is you're having, emerge triumphant. He said, Master DK surprisingly said, and it was in the middle of the kind of Armageddon of World War II, see that you battle. See that you battle. And if we think clearly, each one of us will find something in relation to which we have to battle. I mean, if there's no battle in you, if you don't see what it is, then you're missing your next step. You're missing something. And see what it is and choose the right one and the right method, and then be a good monad of the humankind and go through your battle. Okay. So here we go. So we're really, we're in this day of dedication. It's a mental thing, and we're very soon we enter the 12 hours before the full moon, maybe another 3 hours, and there we're safeguarding. And there, Master DK has told us, at least he's told his other groups, that he is watchful for those who are approaching the ashram in the right way as souls, and especially the group approach. So when you think of rising into the aura of the ashram, even the periphery, that's probably enough for people like us, think of doing so with your group. It's, remember, the door of initiation is too narrow for the individual to get through if he thinks of himself as an individual. But approached through the group, suddenly the door seems wide and everybody can get through it. Okay. So we're going to just quietly be in silence for just a short time. And though we are, let's say, physically scattered all over the world, we nevertheless think of ourselves as one unit of consciousness. So we pull back from the personality. It is not what we are. Of course, from another perspective, we are everything, but, just being practical about it. Spiritually, the personality is simply an instrument for the expression of what we more really are. That is the soul and that is the spirit. So we pull back, and we disidentify. And we know that we have the body, but we are not the body. It simply is useful to accomplish on this lower level. And we have the sentient vehicle, but from this perspective, we are not that vehicle of liking and disliking and attraction and repulsion. It is useful when it's filled with love, as it will be when we overcome our glamours and we pull back from the lower mind with all of its many thoughts and cogitations. And those are useful, but we are not that. From the spiritual point of view, we are the soul in incarnation. We are detached from all of these elemental vehicles. And it's as if we enter this realm of light and love and power imaginatively. And in soul, we reach out to the members of the new group of world servers whose year this is, from December 21st to the 28th. We can talk about that and all the events we're holding in regard to that. And we join with the new group of world servers in soul. And maybe some of us really are members of that new group, you know. We should not underestimate what it takes. To be a man or woman of goodwill is good, but one still has a ways to go before one makes the transition from being a person of goodwill to being a true member of the world-serving group. Considering the long history of humanity, the new group of world servers, only maybe 100 years old. And we strengthen in soul the servers and all men and women of goodwill. And we look around ourselves now imaginatively, and we're in that world of light. Use your imagination. You're in that world of light. You're feeling the soul love. And you have the intelligence to know what is the divine plan and to make, or at least some of it, and to make sacrifices for it. So you're in the world of light and love and a powerful sacrifice. And that is more truly your home than this outer world of personality, which is necessary but not your real identity from this perspective. And we think about all of humanity, whether in the body or out of the body. It's a wide range. The people that are on the earth are said to represent only 1/7 of those that are capable of incarnation. And as we really merge into what we more truly are, the soul, and feel the soul nature of all human beings, we can begin to use that powerful mantra, naught is but me. Think about that, because that's an amazing statement. Naught is but me. And of course, it's the big me, it's not the little personal self. Nor is it just the soul self. It's something more. And learning the power to identify, which one starts to do around the second initiation, then this will be a meaningful statement. Naught is but me. And then with that kind of mantra, the whole world goes inside you rather than seems to be outside of you. This the Tibetan tells us, and the Yoga Sutras tell us. We contain and include everything we perceive. Now, our rainbow bridge is all the colors. We consider that it's linked with the Buddhic plane from the astral, and maybe our two colors, soul ray colors and personality ray color, stand out more. But we have all the colors. Red for the first ray, indigo for the second ray, green for the third ray, yellow for the fourth ray, orange for the fifth, and rose or light blue for the sixth ray, and violet color for the seventh ray. We have all the colors because we've been on all the different personality rays, but right now there's a particular color for our personality ray and the ongoing soul ray. And somehow those colors will qualitatively direct us toward what we have to do in life. But as we're building this wonderful rainbow bridge that you can imagine in various different ways, whether rising or going in towards some kind of center. When we work like this, we're going to use the indigo because we're working as a group, and Master DK is the second ray master, primarily in the way that he reaches us, at least. And the whole bridge will be of indigo color primarily, with all the other colors secondary. And the bridge will seem to rise through an area of retained energies around the mental unit on the mental plane, and up to the monastic permanent atom, and extending beyond into the triad. Let's just say that how far that extent goes depends on where we are in our evolution. And we draw those energies into that around the mental unit, the light of the soul, around the mental unit, the love of the soul, around the mental unit, the sacrificial will and intelligence of the soul, around the mental unit, the sense of synthesis of the soul, from the synthesis petals that are opening up around the mental unit, and even this monadic quality that comes through the jewel in the lotus around the mental unit. And the bridge passes through these energies on the way into the triad. So we're going to use the word of power for the second ray. I see the greatest light. We're going to imagine a shaft of brilliant white light shooting through the primarily indigo color and touching as high into the triad and towards the monad as may be possible. This is a visualization, of course. It's probably the real facts are quite different, but it has value in inducing the state of connectedness that we have to achieve. So we'll sound the outer Om, and inwardly we'll say to ourselves, I see the greatest light, and imagine this projection into the higher realms occurring 3 times. And this little exercise, you see, connects us with the cosmic ethers. And even though in reality our projection is only part way along that bridge of light, something from the higher realms comes forth to meet us. Just as in the story of the prodigal son, the father runs from the house to meet the returning prodigal son, who knew there was such occultism in it. I see the greatest light, and the group aura can be reflective of whatever that light may be, of wisdom, of sacrifice, of mentality, whatever the light may be, of being. We can begin to pick up the higher impression. And we well know that we're dealing with Scorpio here, so in the table of creative hierarchies, that Buddhic plane, the light of day, Scorpio, very important for what we're doing now to kill illusion. Dispel it, as they say. Unless we're a 4th degree initiate, we're under the spell of illusion. Think of that. And DK makes it even rougher. He says, unless you're a 9th degree initiate, you're still under the spell of illusion. But of course, illusions of a more attenuated nature. Probably for us, those illusions would represent some higher truths. see the greatest light. And the hierarchy itself, the ordinary focusing of their consciousness is in the spiritual triad, and we can imagine that we meet them there. And we'll salute them, which means that we pledge our cooperation in their attempts to bring about the expression of the divine plan. Now this, this particular meditation, this part of it is from the Tibetan. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all masters. We approach in soul these higher beings. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we work most closely in this particular work. Salutations to the Master Moria, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations. Salutations to the Master Kutumi, the coming Christ of the age of Capricorn. DK said of him that through the pure blue of his eyes, it seems like the love wisdom of the ages is pouring. Salutations to the Master Jwal Kul, DK, who has given us the blue books, so many of them, and who has in his ashram and from it the training of the disciples and the initiates of the first 3 degrees. Salutations to your own Master, as you conceive him to be or know him to be. Salutations to the spiritual hierarchy of our planet. which is the great ashram of Sanat Kumara. So we express our salutations, our spiritual greetings, and our willingness to cooperate as best we can with their efforts to manifest the plan. Just go to meditation number 4 in Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2. Now we're going to use the imagination to raise our thought toward Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. Remember, on the cosmic ethers we find it. And with deepest reverence and in all humility, we attempt, identified as a group soul, to attune with the presence of Sanat Kumara, the Lord of the world, the expression of love wisdom of the planetary logos, the exemplar of the greatest exemplar of the teaching ray upon our planet. We attune, we try, with that great presence standing at the center of Shambhala. And inwardly a long silent Om, silent inwardly, imagining the group imbued with his energy, and we want to live that life of true planetary purpose. It's probably too soon to talk about solar purpose, because the planetary logoi are really learning what that's all about. But through the soul, through the hierarchy, through the monad, through the center of Shambhala, through the great king, with so many beautiful names, and up to the planetary logos itself, we want to live a purposeful life, spiritually considered and in cooperation with our group or groups. And when we can really begin to fasten upon the spiritual will, which is impersonal, coming from the impersonal world. It's not about the personal will. In some ways, it's not even about the soul will to express our gifts, traits, something more. For the welfare of this planet. Now, as we get ready to enter the indigo disc, we'll symbolize ourselves by a radiant point of light and love and power. And it's as if we hover above a golden pathway. And the golden pathway is going to lead into the heart of the indigo disc. Remember, at this time we're on a second-ray planet, and we're in a second-ray solar system, and indigo is the great synthetic ray. So we've coalesced, and the extension of form is not really existing, and we are a unit of being, consciousness. And as the golden pathway shortens and shortens, we go with it, we go with it, we go with it, we go with it, until we find ourselves in the heart of indigo, under the influence of the blue logos, but under the influence of the soul ray of our planet, closer to home. And here we, as if, open ourselves to the consciousness of Master DK. And he is the great expert we know in the ray and astrological and hierarchical energies. And we're going to take an imaginative journey, seeking to act a little bit as outposts of his consciousness. We're going to encounter the energies powerful at this time in Scorpio, because these energies are emerging now, intensifying, and by the time we meet the moment of the full moon, they will be very intense. And that's the moment of opportunity which Master DK says we must seize, as at no other time is such an impression possible. So first, imaginatively, we encounter the red planet Mars, red-orange. It's the exoteric ruler, and it gives us the normal kind of courage. We have to be courageous as disciples. There is an outer opponent. In the beginning, many. Later, fewer. And we have to have the courage to face the outer opponent, largely based on ray and astrological energies, until the time of synthesis is arriving. So to be brave in the world, not as easy as it may sound or seem. And then we'll consider the red planet from the esoteric point of view. The inner opponent, not just the outer ideal, the outer courage, but the inner opponent, the dweller on the threshold, the sum total of all the unredeemed qualities which are still not really incorporated properly into our aura. There is a dragon in there. And we have to realize that, in a way, our greatest enemy is ourself, our lower self. We project it often onto other people and imagine they have those qualities, and they may a little bit, but we wouldn't be projecting if we didn't have those undesirable qualities which have to be eliminated. So when you're looking at a planet like Mars, never forget, you're just seeing the very outer condensation. A whole inner apparatus of subtle energies is existing for that planet, just as for all the other planets. And finally, let's think about Mercury, so close to the Sun. It's the hierarchical ruler, and it conveys, think of this, disillusioning power. Disillusioning power. Buddhic illumination. Intuitive illumination, so we can see straight knowledge. Not just what we guess, what we think, but how it is. And I understand, is it today or yesterday? I think it's today, Mercury passing before the face of the Sun. A rare conjunction. I was being told by my daughter 13 times in a century. So it's a pretty strong alignment between the Sun as the principle of life and Mercury, transcendental mind, and all the levels of mind. Good day to have a meditation on these matters. So we'll dispel illusion, glamour and Maya. So that's our first encounter. Now let's look closely at the real fight, the enemy without. Sometimes you see people entering into a fray. They're a passerby. Someone is being victimized. They throw themselves into it. They may be stabbed or shot, or maybe not. They may survive, or maybe not. But they have that outer courage. And it's a tough condition that humanity's in right now, very uncertain. all kinds of old things that don't work are emerging. The tendency towards selfishness, dictatorship. We're not ready for that. Maybe Sanat Kumara does it in his own unique way. However, we're not ready for that. And the progress into democracy is a big progress. Sometimes we have to defend the rights of individuals and not allow an application of force which takes away the will of the people, of individuals. So our groups have to be strong in that way. You never know whether cowardice is hidden within until you're tested. You just never know. Will you be the one who saves the day, or will you be the one who runs away? You never know. These people on a train, and somebody started to stab other people, they leaped into the fray. And they managed to disarm the fanatic criminal, and they saved many lives. And 15 seconds before they did that, they didn't know anything. It's all based on the spiritual habit of courage. Do we have that? So let's sound the Om, seeing that quality pour into our group or groups, so that we can be upstanding and courageous in defense of the good. Courage for all disciples. But what about esoteric Mars? What about the inner enemy? What about the great battle, that fight to the death with the inner enemy of unredeemed energies? That takes even more. Oftentimes people can be outwardly courageous, but they can't really face themselves. Sometimes vice versa. So there is a dweller, and at first Hercules uses the strong methods of opposition. They don't finally work entirely, but at least he's able to confront the inner negativity. He may not have the final solution, but at least he doesn't run away and refuse to look at what the inner negativity may be, and to see it clearly and boldly. If there is some weakness within you, and there necessarily must be, find it, confront it, don't let it pass. At least that much Mars can do, and Mercury will take care of the rest. So let's look at this inner courage flowing into our group or groups as we sound the Om. This is really, where we're separating the sheep from the goats. However, there's another step. Pluto has to enter. It also rules Scorpio. Pluto never kills the consciousness. Pluto operates in the lives of disciples, particularly in a conscious way. Pluto brings about the death of death, and the death of those things which kill out the consciousness. Pluto is a liberator, just the way Kundalini is a liberator. The symbol, the upward pointing arrow of death. And it's very deep-seated. It probes for the things that are hidden within our nature and in the nature of others, so that the enemy cannot remain hidden. Let's sound the Om, feeling Pluto coming in to empower us in the group, and eventually stimulating the base of the spine so that the great purification under Kundalini can occur. It's a special ruler of Scorpio. But finally, we'll get into Mercury. And this is where, with the hierarchical rulership, the intuition, the pure reason enters, and the aggregated miasma known as the dweller on the threshold is seen, revealed for what it is, an illusory phantom, and it is devitalized through the luminous understanding of its unreality. We see things finally deglamorized, disillusioned, without the chaos of Maya. Mercury carries the illumination we need. Master DK is very much Mercury, in a sense. And Mercury is the transcendental mind. In its higher aspects, of course. So enough will enter our consciousness, enough will enter the consciousness of the group to chase away the phantoms, to see through them, to see with inclusive reason, with pure reason, the truth of things, straight, without having to think. It's straight knowledge. And let's bring that quality of Mercury and, in a way, Master DK with it right into our groups, so that as a group we can begin to see the truth and be trained as we should be, following the rules in the rays and the initiations. So these planets, these rays, they are stronger now together than at other times. And we can use them to build the qualities into our causal body. Courage, depth of penetration, the ability to deal with the outer and inner enemies, and finally a great illumination beyond all Maya, beyond all deception, beyond all lie. I think of Master DK and how Blavatsky wrote about him when she was in Tibet, and she says, I know a youth so pure, no lie would ever cross his lips. Finally, Scorpio will reveal truth. But we are in the solar system of love, and we're all units of love. And when the sun shines, we must remember that our monadic home is within the sun, or rather within the solar logos. And no matter what our ray, we're all units in the great heart center that the sun is. Our solar logos is a heart center in the local cosmic logos. We're all units of the heart. Think about that. Think about the bliss of the Christ and the Masters as they realize what that love is. And think about the agony they experience in relation to humanity when they see we human beings missing opportunity after opportunity to enter the field of love. So that great indigo blue logos pours forth and conditions all of us, and no matter what our ray may be, or combination of rays or our astrology or whatever, we are all in this solar system units of love. Love, wisdom, really. the great indigo ray. Our God is a consuming fire of love. That's a big lesson and takes us to the essence of things in our solar system. But then as we rise towards this, in thought, of course, towards this amazing constellation Scorpius, it's called Scorpius, come to such powerful stars. One of the greatest stars, Antares, a big red star, so huge that if its center was with the sun, its radius would extend out to the area of Mars. That's just huge. But we can guess that in the magnificent universe, it's not the hugest star that's to be found. This is a powerful constellation. And we human monads were identified with it. And the rays of Scorpio, largely the fourth ray, but a lot of Herculean first ray coming through. You get the first and four together and you've got real combat. But it ends with harmony, you know. The United Nations, a scorpionic organization, United Nations Day, Scorpio. And the fourth ray souls, there aren't so many just yet. They're found as disciples working in the United Nations, many of them. So the peace is coming, and the conflict that comes at first will give way to the great peace. Symbolically spoken of, you know, as the peace of 1,000 years. That's simply symbolic. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks, nor shall they study war any more. So that's going to help, and starting from 2025, in just a few years, that ray comes in. Scorpio will be very important, that ray from its monadic aspect. And all the different qualities, the sixth ray of Mars, the first ray of Pluto, the fourth ray of Mercury, and many other rays that they carry, they accompany the opportunity of the moment. Just realize what an opportunity each full moon really is. And don't miss it. You know, if you have to wake up in the middle of the night, do so. But there's that constellation. Tuya had some excellent pictures of it. I don't have the pictures here, but looks like a serpent. And we think about it with this light of day being its light, the light of the Buddhic plane, the light of the intuition, the light of pure reason, the light of seeing things as they are, the light of day. Because right now, we see through a glass darkly. That's what St. Paul, who was a Scorpio, said. But later, face to face, now through a glass darkly. But once we build the Antakarana and enter the triadal world, we're going to see things as they are, face to face. So let's think of the mantra. We'll be using it now and for the next 12 hours and a bit more. I think it's more like maybe 16 hours from now. Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. What kind of warrior are you? What is your battle? What would triumph mean to you? Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. We take some moments to ponder this, and we continue to ponder until the moment of the full moon and even afterwards in the days of distribution. Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. warrior I am. And from the battle I emerge triumphant. This is a mantra you can carry with you, really for your whole life, inasmuch as the monad is identified with great strength above, and Scorpio, with its fourth ray, connected with the fourth initiation, takes you to that monad. But let's be clear about our battles, what has to be overcome, what would triumph really look like in our case. Let's be clear, and fortunately for us, the Mercurian quality of Scorpio helps us to be clear. So use this mantra. We still have some time, until 12 o'clock tomorrow noon, when we, GMT that is, when we begin the broadcast. When you look at the world situation, you see disciples have to be strong, and they must overcome their inner enemy before they're going to be of much use to the hierarchy, helping to externalize the divine plan, which is going to meet so much resistance, among so many that are still fixated in the personality life. So we have our work cut out for us. It all starts for us within the one about whom naught may be said. And, that great being is only one of many like itself. But there it is. And within that, that's pretty much the cluster of the Pleiades, and contains a number of these great constellations. So within the heart and the head center of this great supercosmic logos, really, are found the 12 constellations of the zodiac. And Scorpio, well, it's going to make its way down into the cosmic logos, in which our solar god is a heart center. See, that's ruled by Scorpio and Taurus, both of them ray 4. And of course, when you look at the spectrum, yellow, the ray 4 color, it all fits. But this willingness to fight until harmony is achieved It comes down into our cosmic logos and into our solar system and through the great solar God and through all these solar angels that represent the great solar angel which is helping the solar God, and down through certain planets like Mars and Pluto and Mercury, and finally finding its way to the Earth, which is much connected with Scorpio because Earth is a base of the spine center in our solar God, our solar logos. But meanwhile, it touches us in Shambhala and the monadic nature and the hierarchy and the soul nature, and makes its way into our personal apparatus until a great light pours forth. Interestingly enough, both Taurus and Scorpio are connected with a great illumination and with enlightenment we're all seeking, right? And it pours through us in our groups, and we look around, and the trouble spots of the world, there are places of definite evil on this planet. He names an area in the United States as one. Doesn't specify. He names the Middle East as another. He names a place in Central Europe as another. We have to help get rid of this evil. We have to look at how we can bring in this Scorpio warrior, a warrior towards peace energy, how we can bring it in and use it to help interiorly straighten out the great difficulties which are at present manifesting themselves. We can do this. And we have to do this. So look at the world and choose one place where you think things are really going badly. Maybe they're really out of control. Maybe they're really verging off towards the left-hand path. And apply in a positive mode this warrior harmony through conflict energy to that situation through your creative imagination. Do that. The thing is, people have to see. There's so much Maya, glamour, and illusion that people don't see, and they can't make proper decisions accordingly. But Scorpio, with its great penetration and its illumination, it holds one of the important keys. So let's make sure that each one of us sees, and then we can contribute to humanity. After all, an important year is coming. It's called 2020. And whether coincidentally or otherwise, it means perfect vision. And it sums to the number 4, which is the Buddhic plane on which pure reason and straight knowledge can be found. So let's have a big internal struggle to bring the ability to see to humanity. Our work with glamour every Friday should help with that. And our work with triangles, well, the entire Ask program should help with that. And your own methods and your own groups all can help to give true vision to humanity. And by the time we reach Sagittarius, you know, the dark has been cleared away and the true vision should be there. So, in unison with the Christ, in unison with the great will, the purpose of Sanat Kumara, in unison with the hierarchy, in unison with our monadic triadal soul self, let us sound the great invocation, spreading light, love, and power to all the places that need it, on our globe, through our chain, and throughout the planetary scheme of Earth and beyond. Let us do that together. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Tomorrow, the full moon. You start at 12 p.m., noon, and that's GMT. Do your best to be with us, or, at least to observe the full moon in some on-time way with your own group or groups. Doesn't make any difference, whether you're with us or whether you're with your own groups or whatever. Please be present for that. Tomorrow night, I have this Identify as Being webinar. You're most welcome there because we're working on the first aspect of divinity. Something has happened and there it is. Okay. First aspect of divinity, or maybe pure being itself, and you can find that on www.makara.us. So you'll be able to see what that link will be, and it's at 8 o'clock p.m. GMT. Then on Wednesday morning, there'll be the Science of Triangles webinar. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of the cosmic aspects of triangles, and then at night, we're on the night schedule. Tuya will be doing the normal triangle meditation that DK, put together for us in various ways, and we continue with the Ask program. This is an intense time, everybody, as you can tell from politics and the church and the financial situation. Raise 1, 6, and 3. Those are where a lot of the trouble is lying right now. We have a lot of work to do, and we can work behind the scenes, helping to straighten things out in Scorpio. So take it seriously, get in there, and use your best esoteric methods, and think of yourself always in line with your group and groups. And thank you very much from the whole team who brings these things to you, BL and Joe and Michael, and Tuya and myself and Olivia. And we try to keep all of this flowing through the ethers so that we can all rise together. Lots of love, many blessings, and we'll see you tomorrow for the full moon, hopefully, some of you anyway. And then later on, another webinar on isness, on being itself. Okay. So bye for now.